So let's talk about the release. This is an important part of a player's game, and you've got a little bit of a technique or something you can do to help players learn more about what they can do with their release.
Yeah, one of the things that we want to make sure we have some versatility with is the amount of rotation that we have. So by rotation, we mean whether or not our hand is up the back of the ball or whether it's on the side of the ball. So what we've done here is I just took a light pound ball that I had access to. I went to my local pro shop, had them map out my positive access point. We've talked about positive access points before,
Sure.
You know, how they find that, where you just want to find the positive access point, and then all we've done is we simply drilled a hole into our positive access point. This, for example, is slightly bigger than the 3/4 inch dowel that I have here. So go to your local hardware store. You can find these relatively cheap. We're talking less than a couple dollars, cut it in half, and that way we can then put that dowel right into that side of the bowling ball on our PAP. So how this comes into play is that once we get into our position, we can really start to isolate and work on how much rotation we want to have on the bowling ball. So once again, rotation, we're talking about whether or not we're up the back of the ball as such, or whether or not we're on the side of the ball. So it's really the relationship of where this dowel is. If it's pointed more towards, for a right-handed player, if it's pointed more towards the left wall, that would be minimal amounts of rotation. If it's pointed more back at the set tee area or people watching you bowl, that would be high amounts of rotation.
So those measurements, or there's different angles of what you're trying to do, are going to help you feel something different with your hand position to try and isolate what that feeling is like.
Exactly. If we're only constantly trying to do it by throwing a bowling ball, we're just wasting a lot of time. We take our approach, we throw the shot, and it happens so fast. Once again, it's hard to tell if we really accomplished what we wanted to accomplish. Then we got to wait for the bowling ball to come back, and we do it all over again. So what we've developed is something where, by just having this dowel on the side of the ball, we can sort of wrap our fist around it, and we can put this dowel in whatever position we want in terms of rotation. So let's first start with just minimal amounts of rotation. We'll try and get close to 0 degrees. So by just strictly wrapping my hand around it, I can then release the ball, keeping that dowel in the same position. And not only does that give us a feeling of where my hand position needs to be to sort of accomplish that goal, but also what my hand position needs to do in order to make that dowel stay solid.
Right. So when your hand exits the ball too, you can feel exactly what the hand's like in that transition from the thumb to the fingers, but also exactly what position it's supposed to be in relative to what angle you're looking for rotation.
Yeah, so we can rotate this dowel any way we want along that horizontal equator of the bowling ball to kind of give us the sense that we're going to be able to accomplish any rotation that we want. So for example, we were at 0, now let's take it to 45. So we twist that dowel at 45 degrees and then just sort of release the ball. So we have our hand in it like we know our hand's going to feel, and then we're just going to release it as such. And lastly, we can go all the way to 90 degrees. So we turn that dowel all the way back now behind us to where it's facing the spectators that are watching us bowl. And you can see what that does to my hand position. It gets my hand a lot on the side of the ball, right?
Yep.
So from there, we can then just release it in that manner so that the dowel doesn't change positions.
Okay, so having different hand positions and training them specifically in different parts of your release over a lot of repetitions are going to give you a better chance to learn those releases quicker. It's going to change the motion of the ball in the lane.
Yeah, like we talked about earlier, instead of having to wait for the ball comes back every second, we can just really isolate the type of rotation we want, whether it be low, medium, or high, and then just repeat it over and over and over again so we get the position and kind of get the feel of what our hand position needs to be, and then how our hand needs to come out of it in order to achieve that.
So train your hand faster, train your technique and your versatility, make it a lot more versatile. With this simple technique you can take off the lanes and incorporate into your game.